You are not just another hustling salesperson. You are the expert, the resource, the valuable partner for your clients. And how you grow your business should reflect how your clients see you. Welcome to the Roadmap to Grow Your Business podcast. We generate referrals without asking, build positive client experiences, and help you take control of your business. Here's your charmingly sarcastic host, Stacey Brown Randall.
Hey there, and welcome to episode 135 of the Roadmap to Grow Your Business podcast. I'm your host, Stacey Brown Randall. Okay, two quick things before we dive in to the most important number that you have to know if you want more referrals this year. Those two things are, this is the final week to join the Goal Finishers Club for 2021. So if you know your goals need some structure, a little bit of accountability, a whole lot of fun, and an extremely supportive community with some gold stars added in, then you need to join the Goal Finishers Club. For only $49 per month, you're going to be hard-pressed to find this type of community and accountability for less. So join us in the Goal Finishers Club, the class of 2021, before the doors close for good for this year. Your deadline to join is this Friday, January 15th. So when you wake up on Saturday, January 16th, it'll all be done and you won't be able to get in. And that'll make me really, really sad. So if you're looking to join the Goal Finishers Club, come on and join us. Just go to goalfinishers.com. Again, $49 per month. It's really hard to find this type of support, accountability, fun, and of course, camaraderie with other business owners striving to crush their goals this year for less. I can't wait to see you inside the Goal Finishers Club. Do it now, because before you know it, Friday will be here and it'll be your last chance. And we have our very first referral 5-day challenge kicking off at the end of this month. On January 25th, we're going to kick off our January Jumpstart Your Referrals 5-day challenge. Definitely go ahead and grab your spot now. You can grab your spot at staceybrownrandall.com/challenge. It's going to be a whole lot of fun for 5 days. One small challenge action you do per day. So it doesn't take a lot of time, but it'll be an action-packed day, 5 full days during that week. That's right, January 25th. Grab your spot now. Okay, let's move in to today's topic. I want you to think about this question for a minute. If I were to ask you, which number matters most if you want more referrals or any referrals this year, how would you answer? Would you say it's the number of referrals you received last year? Or would you say it's the total number of referrals you've ever received since you started your business, whether that was 6 days ago or 6 years ago? Would you say that your closing ratio, meaning the number of referred prospects, right? The number of prospects that are referred to you and how often you close them, which creates your closing ratio. Would you say that your closing ratio of referred prospects matters most? Or would you say that it's the number of new clients that you need this year? Well, the answer? It's none of the above. This is the most important number you need, and you need to understand it backwards and forwards in a very, very intimate way if you want to receive more referrals this year in 2021. What is it? It's the number of referral sources you have. And it's not just the number of referral sources you have, right? It's just not how many of these humans that are referring you that you have, but also your relationship with them. Now, let me just pause for a second and give you the quick 32-second version of the definition of a referral source, just to make sure we're all on the same page. And those of you who are new to listening to this podcast or new to my world, that you will not have this confused in your head as I'm going to break down what it means to know the number of referral sources you have, and then also to intimately understand the relationship you have with them as well. So a referral source is always, always, always a human that refers you. So you cannot be referred by a networking group. You're referred by somebody in that networking group. You can't be referred by a company you used to work for. You are referred by a human inside that company that you used to work for. And definitely for my real estate agents who I know listen to this podcast, your clients do not refer themselves. That is called a repeat client. Your clients don't refer themselves. I know that is some cases how you guys have been taught. And I'll dive into that dynamic in a future episode because I got a soapbox on that one. But we'll hold that for right now. So a referral source is always a human that makes the decision to refer you to someone that needs your help. So real quickly, the breakdown of the cast of characters or the players within a referral process are, of course, number one, the referral source. Number two, the prospect. And number three, you. So when you think about this, your referral source knows the prospect has a problem and needs to find the perfect solution for them. And the perfect solution for them is you, which is why your referral source refers the prospect to you. It's as if you drew on a piece of paper a triangle and you put the referral source at the top, and the referral source is connecting the dots between, of course, you as a solution provider and the prospect as hopefully going to be your next paying client who has a problem that you can solve best. So here's the thing. Why is it that the number of referral sources you have is the number that matters most if you want more referrals? Well, I think an easy answer would be a very logical, right? Answer in that moment would be, well, the number of referral sources I have indicates the number of referrals that I will probably receive. And yes, that is true. If you only have if you only have 5 referral sources, why in the world would you think you're going to get 50 referrals, right? So there is some extremely important correlation between the number of humans that choose to refer you in any given year to the number of referrals you'll actually receive. So that's why this number is so very important. But there's something deeper that goes along with this number than just knowing the number. But we start at the top when we're understanding this referral source dynamic and why how many of these we have matters so much to the number of referrals that we can receive. So the reality of it is when we think about our referral sources, they're actually a very fluid group. They're not static. It's not like, oh, you referred me once and now you'll refer me forever, at least once a year for the rest of your life. Like it just doesn't work that way. Referral sources, they change positions or change direction for their career or their company so they don't come across your ideal client anymore, or they move out of town. Right, I have a Growth by Referrals VIP student that I'm working with right now whose number one referral source moved out of town in 2019. And they were like, ooh, that's going to create a vacuum of people who could refer her, right? So when you think about your referral sources, it is important to note that when we're kind of digging in to their importance to your referral success for the year is understanding how many of them you have is really important, but they're not a static group of humans. They move. Unfortunately, they pass away. They change directions and focus. They don't come across people to refer to you, right? Lots of things can change and can change the dynamic of our group of referral sources. So it's important that we recognize that this is a fluid group to begin with. But beyond understanding that sometimes referral sources refer us and then they don't, and so sometimes they're on their list and they fall off our list, it's also important for us to understand exactly what this group of humans means for our business. When a new student starts in the Growth by Referrals program, whether they go independent study or they go VIP, the very first thing they do is they go through and they complete something we call the client look back tracker and the prospect look back tracker. And that is their ability to go back in time, as many years as they're willing, to really find all of their clients, connect the source of how that client heard about them, and then determine which of those were actually referred to them. And this gives them a totality list. I'm not quite sure if that's proper grammar, but I liked it. So that gives them a totality list of their referral sources through the years. we never look at our referral sources in a vacuum. We don't just consider the people who referred us in the last quarter as our referral sources. Our memory does that, which is why anecdotal evidence or what you think you remember who your referral sources are actually don't matter, because you will miss people if you take that tactic. So it's not what you can remember. It's what the data shows us. It's what the data always reveals. And it is the number one step anybody going through the program, through my program, Growth by Referrals, goes through, and that's regardless of which level they come in at. And so when we think through who our referral sources are, knowing the who is really, really important. And we're going to spend a couple of episodes kind of digging into different sides of this because I think it's really important for folks to understand. But with this episode, what I wanted to give you was an easy way to understand who these humans are. But there's more to just knowing their names, okay? So here's a couple things to consider. One of the things that I do with my Referral Ninja Inner Circle members. So once you've finished almost the first year of your Growth by Referrals program, so once you join the GBR program, and you have finished almost your first year, then you can graduate into the inner circle. And so one of the things that we do with the the inner circle members, the referral circle, that's funny. One of the things we do with the inner circle members is at the end of the year. Now, once you're in the inner circle, we rotate on calendar years. A lot of times people join the Growth by Referrals program at any point throughout the year, and they have a calendar year, like a 1 year from their join date. But then at that point, we start working everything off of the calendar year. Just makes it easy for us to keep up with our metrics. But at the end of the year or the beginning of a new year, we do a referral source review. So this is something we just did with our inner circle members. And we just kind of do a review of who their referral sources are. And typical questions come up that you can imagine, like who actually gave you referrals that year, right? So if we're looking at it from this perspective, who gave you referrals in 2020, who didn't, but had been on your list because they gave you referrals in 2019 or 2018, right? And then we look at some considerations. And as you can imagine, if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, or you've read my book, or you've downloaded or consumed any of my free resources, and definitely if you're a GBR student, you know this, I have some very specific rules for how we treat this list when we are looking back on it after a year. Now, if you're not following a process or a system or some type of plan to take care of your referral sources throughout the year to help them along in terms of referring you, then the rules and specifics that I give you would actually do more harm than good. So those specific rules are the rules that I go through with my inner circle members to help them understand how we treat the people on that list, when we remove, when we don't remove, what can actually be situational that we can make different judgment calls on. Like there's a kind of a list of specific rules that we follow from that perspective. So it is important that every year you're reviewing your list, and it's the start of a new year. So I'm going to ask you to compile a list if you've never done it before. Now, if you've ever been through any of my challenges, you may, like my 5-day or my 4-day challenge, you may have done a partial exercise or partial activity with this. But I want you guys to dig in because you're going to need this list as we go through the next couple episodes because of some things I have coming up that I want to teach you guys. But this is where you start. You start by identifying who your referral sources are. Now, for my GBR students, you guys know exactly where this lands. This is module 2, right? This is called IDing the who. So it's really important that we understand and we can identify who our referral sources are because we learned that referral sources are always humans. That means they always have a first and a last name. It always cracks me up when I'm looking through some of either the client or the prospect look back trackers and they were referred to me by someone, but I can't remember who. Like, I don't remember this person's name. That always cracks me up. But it happens, right? I mean, nothing is perfect, even if we do have great data collection ways. So what I want you to do when you think about identifying your referral sources, I want you to consider the past and I want you to consider the present. And then I want you to consider, right? So just considering the past few years of who's referred you and currently who's been referring you or who typically refers you in any given year, right? So I want you to consider who these people are, first and last name. And yes, I want you to write them down. And I've actually created a really easy way for you to do this because I think if you can just download this document that I've created for you, and it's free, it's on the show notes page at stacybrownrandall.com/135. If you can just get into that document, it'll just walk you through, like I've got notes in there that say, do this and then do this, then do this. I mean, I'm going to walk you through it right now too, but if you're going to go through this and you're not listening to the episode at that time, you'll kind of be able to understand what I'm teaching you. But I really want you to go and download this tracker. Okay. It's like this modified tracker that I've created for you. And I've got some specific things in there you can't find with any, if you've ever said like, wait, Stacey, I've downloaded a tracker of yours before. Like maybe you've downloaded the tracker of how we keep up with incoming referrals, right? Which is great and something I want you guys to do. And it's something you need to be able to track as referrals are coming in. This is a little bit different. So I want you to download this because not only am I going to ask for you to identify the names of who your referral sources are, past and present, then this is the biggie, right? Then we're going to consider the strength of your relationship with them. So I have created an easy way for you to do this with a Likert scale type measurement, which is like a 1 to 5 type measurement scale. Now, the reason why I'm teaching it to you like this is because I know some of you are going to be like, what exactly, if I'm rating these people, right? If I'm rating them from a 1 to 5, like what exactly does it mean to rate them as a 1 or as a 5? And as a growth by referral student, as a GBR student, you may be thinking to yourself, wait, I didn't do this. But that's because we look at this differently when you're inside the GBR program, but you can definitely add this to your list of referral sources as well, right? So this is just another great way for us to look at who our referral sources are if you are a growth by referral student member. It's not necessarily like a mandatory thing that you need to do, of course, but I want you to think about this from that perspective of the relationship you have with your referral sources. The strength of the relationship you have with them matters most. And there's actually a couple of different ways that we measure the strength of a relationship. Now, here's the thing. We're not rating if they're your buddy. Like we're not rating if this is your business bestie. We're not rating if this is the person you see every week because you guys play softball together or whatever, right? Like we're not rating the friendship strength of a relationship. It's important, but that's not how we're rating this. The way we're rating this is in 2 ways. And it is the number of referrals received or how often you receive referrals from them, or if you were just referred by them. So there is a proximity to how recently they've referred you or how often they refer you. And in addition to the type of relationship you have with them, meaning would they take your call if you called? Like sometimes we screen phone calls, people, when we get calls and people are like, I ain't got time for that right now, right? I mean, I know I do it. Like someone calls, I'm like, I don't have time for that, right? Or that's just not a priority for me right now. So the question is on the relationship side is like, would they take your call if you called? Like that doesn't mean they wouldn't miss your call because they're in an appointment or, in the bathroom. But I mean, like, would they call you back? Like if they missed your call, would they call you back? And would they take your call? And another way to look at this is how easy or awkward would a coffee go? Like if you guys sat down for coffee, how easy would the flow of conversation happen? Or how awkward would it be where you're actually having to force the conversation along because you just don't have that type of relationship? Meaning that not like I need you to have 15,000 things in common, but if you've never really actually gotten to know this person, then you don't know anything about them, which makes the flow of conversation harder. We know the first time we sit down with somebody, sometimes those conversations have little fits and starts to them, right? And there's some awkward pauses as we're trying to negotiate this dance that we do when we're meeting with someone for the very first time and starting to form a relationship. So when we think about how we're going to rate our referral sources, we need to think about this as, yes, it has something to do with how recently they referred you, and how often they refer you. It may not be as recent as it is often, right? If somebody refers you every single year, right, that is a good relationship. But then it's also paired with, would they take your phone call? Or said another way, how easy or awkward would a coffee meeting go? What would the flow of conversation look like? We take both of those things, and that's how we end up actually rating them on our scale. So when you download this document, right, that's going to help you identify your referral sources and then rate them on the relationship and referral scale. It's all spelled out for you. Okay. I spent a lot of time making sure that this spreadsheet, and that's what it is, guys. It's a spreadsheet. I spent a lot of time making sure the spreadsheet made sense for you and had the keys that you needed. So you had the definitions and all those pieces in place. And it's a couple of tabs. So make sure you note that as you're going through this process. And when you go in to download this from the show notes page at stacybrownrandall.com/135, make sure that when you download it, you recognize that there's a couple of tabs here. Start with tab 1 and work your way through. And you guys know, if you guys have questions, the number one place to jump in and ask the questions as you're going through anything you've learned on any of the podcast episodes or through the challenges or through my book, but in particular to this episode, as you're going to download this spreadsheet and go through and be able to truly identify not only who your referral sources are, but also rate the relationship and referrals that you received from them. If you ever have any questions, the best place to go is our Referrals Without Asking Facebook group. Hop in there. I will see it faster if you tag me in your question, but that doesn't mean I'm the only one who will answer, which is great. I want everybody else to answer as well, those that have opinions on it. But ask your questions inside the Referrals Without Asking Facebook group as you complete this exercise. And of course, I will link to that Facebook group, Referrals Without Asking, on the show notes page at stacybrownrandall.com/135. Okay, guys, I'm going to implore you to take some time this week to please go through and do this exercise, because next week you're going to need some information that's come out of this exercise to help us do the next activity. That's in episode 136. So make sure, please, you take some time over the next 7 days to do this so you're prepared for when next Tuesday's episode comes out, episode 136. You're ready to go. Okay, let me wrap up here. If you have yet to take our Referral Ninja quiz and you are brand new to my community, the number one thing I'm going to recommend you do, in addition to continue to listen to this podcast every single week, is I'm going to encourage you to take the Referral Ninja quiz, right? The link to that will be on the show notes page, but it's stacybrownrandall.com/quiz, and Stacy has an E. But the quiz allows you to understand where are you starting from. So then you can understand how to use the content and the resources and the educational information that I provide to you through my book, through my Facebook group, Referrals Without Asking, through this podcast, all the ways that I provide free content type information for you, educational type information for you. It lets you know like where you should start applying this based on the level of a referral ninja you are. So take that quiz. It's 9 questions. It'll take you all of like a minute or two to take it. And of course, we do free training, not every month, but a bunch of months throughout the year. And so I would love for you to take us up on some of this training that we have going on. We have got our first 5-day challenge of the year. It's our Jumpstart Challenge. It's one of my favorites. It's our 5 days Jumpstart Your Referrals Challenge starting on January 25th. So make sure you sign up. And of course, you can always find our upcoming training, whether it's the live training I'm doing or even something on demand that you can watch when you have time at stacybrownrandall.com/training. And of course, my book is always a great place to start, guys, generating business referrals without asking. All right, coming up next week is episode 136, and we're going to do a little more calculation because you guys know how much I love my math. That was sarcasm if you didn't catch that. But we're going to do a little more calculation so that we can make sure you are ready to have a very, very strong referral explosion year. Until then, take control and grow your business. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Roadmap to Grow Your Business podcast. To access all resources and links mentioned in today's show and to connect with Stacy, head over to www.stacybrownrandall.com.